Hello, movie reviews. My name is Ed, and we're just going to try to wing it this time. This is going to be X-Men Days of Future Past, directed by Bryan Singer. A screenplay, or the story, I should say, is by James Goldman, Simon Kinberg, and Matthew Vaughn. And I actually did a double take, and I had to go look it up because when I saw Matthew Vaughn's name, on the opening credits, I was like, is that the same guy that directed Kick Ass? And it actually is. And actually, Jane Goodman actually worked with him on the Kick Ass movie as well. And of course, starring Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and Jennifer Lawrence. The premise is based loosely on an old X-Men story by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Basically, ideas in the near future, the X-Men are fighting a losing war against these killer robots called the Sentinels. So the plan becomes one of the X-Men should go back in time to kind of stop all the events from happening. And one of the main catalysts for getting the Sentinel program fast tracked was the assassination of a certain politician. Well, in the comics, it was a politician. In this movie, is a guy named Bolivar Trask, who's not technically a politician. I don't think. I think he's just like an engineer and a scientist and things. Um, so basically, they send Wolverine back in time. He has to meet young Professor X and young Magneto and convince them everything that's going on. And then, like I said, they have to stop the assassination plan and also stop the Sentinels from, being built and so on and so forth. So that's basically it. For the most part, I thought it was a pretty solid movie. I liked the acting. I thought the story held together pretty well, and I thought the special effects for the most part were pretty good as well. One thing I will say, it's not really the kind of superhero ensemble movie that you would kind of expect from something called the X-Men, or at least I would expect, being a fan of the older comics and the old cartoon show. Or if you're somebody that's new to all this and maybe you saw the Avengers, where most of the characters kind of get, more or less even screen time. That's really not what this film is. This film is really the Wolverine show co-starring Charles and Magneto. A lot of different X-Men characters make appearances, but the characters that drive the plot, like I said, are Wolverine, Magneto, and Charles Xavier. They're the characters that have kind of the character arcs going on. They drive most of the action in this movie. Um, I think, speaking of other appearances, I do think one thing that was pretty interesting. There's a scene with a young mutant who can run at super speed. That's kind of based on Quicksilver. Uh, he has a really cool scene where they try to break into the Pentagon, and I'll say his scene pretty much steals the show. He's using the super speed. There's an interesting choice for the music, and the special effects are just awesome in that scene. It's almost worth renting the movie just to see how that one scene comes together as far as the visual effects and the use of music and things like that. Let's see here. That's pretty much it. Like I said, oh, one other thing I would say is kind of interesting because, in effect, the movie's a period piece. It takes place mostly in 1973, I think, and it kind of has the structure and feel almost more of a caper film rather than a science fiction superhero movie, even though that's ostensibly what it is. The whole structure is characters, you have the premise, they have their task, assembling the group, and then, uh, trying to, accomplish that one task. Although here, instead of getting the bag of money or getting the secret plans is, like I said, stopping this one event from happening. But yeah, you get to see these guys run around in street clothes and sneaking into places and sneaking out of places and so on and so forth. I don't want people to think that it's just that. I mean, there are big, crazy superheroes, science fiction scenes in it, but like I said, it's like the engine that drives the superhero stuff is kind of caper movie tropes. You know what I mean? But that's I guess that's it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. If you're a hardcore comic book fan, you might be put off about how others uh, a lot of continuity or I don't know, continuity is the word I want to use, but it's very, very different than, like I said, the comics and the cartoon shows that I think a lot of us grew up with. But on the other hand, if you've been watching any of these X-Men films, a lot of them veer off radically from the comics, but I think they're able to keep the core of what some of the major characters are, and they're able to translate it and adapt it in a way that's fun and enjoyable. Okay, I guess that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening, and you have a good day.